Hey there, plant lovers! Welcome back to Succulents Box's YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about one of the trickiest parts of houseplant care, watering. We all know water is essential for our plants, but finding that perfect balance between underwatering and overwatering can be a real challenge. The key is finding that balance where your plant isn't thirsty, but it also isn't drowning. Too little water, and your plant can't absorb nutrients properly. Too much, and the roots start to rot. Understanding how to strike that balance is key to keeping your plants happy and healthy. Let's talk about underwatering. When your plant doesn't get enough water, it struggles to function properly. The leaves and stems lose firmness, and the roots begin to shrink and become brittle, making it harder for the plant to absorb water even when you do water it. This lack of moisture also limits photosynthesis, which means less energy for growth, and over time, your plant becomes more vulnerable to pests and diseases. So how can you tell if your plant is thirsty? Wilting is one of the most obvious signs. If your plant's leaves look droopy or limp, it's probably a sign it needs a drink. You might also notice dry, crispy leaves, sometimes curling or with brown, brittle edges. Sometimes the leaves turn yellow or brown, starting at the tips or edges. Stunted growth is another clue. If your plant isn't growing as usual, especially if it's young, it might not be getting enough water. Check the soil, too. If it feels bone dry an inch down, your plant is definitely thirsty. Lastly, if your plant starts shedding leaves, it's trying to conserve water by reducing the amount of foliage. If you figured out that your plant is underwatered, don't panic. Start by giving it a thorough drink. Place the pot in a sink or basin and pour water onto the soil until it drains out the bottom. Let the plant soak for 15-30 minutes, making sure the entire root ball gets hydrated. Afterward, check the soil moisture again. If it still feels dry, repeat the process. Adding a bit more humidity can also help. Try grouping plants together, placing a water tray nearby, or using a room humidifier. Once your plant starts recovering, adjust your watering schedule. Make sure to water when the top inch of soil is dry, avoiding overcompensation that could lead to drowning the plant. Overwatering can be just as harmful as underwatering, and sometimes it's even harder to spot. When plants get too much water, their roots can't get the oxygen they need because the soil is constantly soaked. This can lead to root rot, a common but deadly issue for houseplants. Constantly wet soil encourages fungi to grow, and when the roots start to rot, they can't absorb water or nutrients effectively, so the rest of the plant starts to suffer. Some signs of overwatering include mushy, discolored foliage. You might see yellow, wilting, or falling leaves, but unlike underwatering, these leaves will feel soft and waterlogged. If you pull your plant out of the pot and notice brown, mushy, or foul-smelling roots, that's a sure sign of root rot. Mold or fungus might also appear on the soil surface, especially in low airflow areas. Finally, slow or stunted growth can indicate that the plant isn't getting enough oxygen due to waterlogged roots. So what can you do if you've overwatered your plant? First, drain any excess water and move the plant to a spot with good airflow to help it dry out. Hold off on watering until the topsoil feels dry. If you suspect root rot, carefully remove the plant from its pot, trim off any damaged roots, and repot it in fresh, well-draining soil. Make sure you disinfect your tools between cuts to avoid spreading diseases. Going forward, ensure your plant's pot has drainage holes, and consider using a porous pot that helps excess moisture escape. Well-draining soil is super important, so mix in some perlite or sand if needed. While your plant is recovering, provide enough light and maintain a comfortable temperature. Proper care will help it bounce back faster. Lastly, adjust your watering routine and always check the soil's moisture before watering again. And that's everything you need to know about the do's and don'ts of watering your houseplants. Whether you're dealing with a thirsty plant or one that's drowning, the key is learning to recognize the signs early and adjusting your routine. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more plant care tips. Got any questions or experiences to share? Drop them in the comments below and we'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching and happy gardening.
For more, you can find us at succulentsbox.com or on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.